It's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. Whatever is going on with my systems and whatever type of gremlins are in there, they're still there. I've deleted everything, I've re-downloaded everything, I've cleared off all my hard drive. I still keep on getting these weird and wonderful things during the intro. But anyway, less of my tech faux pas here, and this is going to be a positive podcast because I've really wanted to do this. I really wanted to chat to this man that you see on screen here again. The man who I think just like, I've never not seen him smile. And I said, I have to get him on when I'm doing the Positivity podcast. And it's the wonderful Jack is here to join us again. He needs no introduction to any of you Aston Villa fans. But thanks so much for joining me, Jack. Really appreciate your time today.
Neil, of course, it's a pleasure to be back. Thank you for having me on, and excited to be positive about Villa. Like you said, I think there's so many things that we should be excited for in this upcoming season. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I suppose before we get into that, you were at a couple of the preseason games, if I'm not mistaken, and you did some really good vox pops outside the stadium and stuff like that, and fans were enjoying themselves. And how was that whole experience for you?
Yeah, summer tour was brilliant. I went to all three matches: Columbus, New York, Chicago. Little bit of fan festivities along the way, and just like you said, meeting everyone outside the stadium, inside the stadium. It was brilliant seeing the Villa community growing right in front of our own eyes. Like last summer, there were a lot of people that came over and from all over the world, and a second year in a row in America gave another opportunity for fans to come out, connect with the team. Met somebody who said Tyrone Mings signed his shirt last summer, and he's been dedicated to following Villa ever since. He brought his whole family up with him to New York, and it's kind of just beautiful to see.
Yeah, and was it? I suppose was the demographic mostly US fans that you met there, or was there a healthy mix between US and UK fans? Because it seemed like that there wasn't as many made the trip for obvious reasons. A lot of Villa fans were probably in Germany for the majority of this summer as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think going across the Atlantic, it's not cheap, and the games were kind of clustered towards the East Coast last summer and again this summer. So yeah, I think it was primarily North American. I would say there's a really good group of Canadian Villa fans, especially in Toronto. Mm-hmm. A lot of those people came down. But at the first match of the America tour, of the USA tour, I only saw two people wearing this new home kit. One of them got it from the Villa social media team that was giving it out, and the other one was the chairman of the Sutton Coldfield Lions. So there were some people that made the trip over, but like you said, a lot of them going to maybe the Euros, or maybe just taking holiday, or maybe going to some of the other friendlies in Ternava or in Dortmund. Maybe just waiting to go on a grand European tour in the Champions League, because we've got that coming up too.
Exactly. Yeah. Spoiler alert. I think that might be one of our 5 reasons to be positive about Villa this year. But yeah,
I think it could be worth 5. To be honest, that's worth 5 reasons on its own.
Exactly, agree with you. But that's and a couple of people I spoke to, they said, yeah, look, I'm going to give the preseason tour a bit of a rest, because they wanted to go to the more historic football stadiums, I suppose, in whoever we get drawn against, in Europe this year, and see if they could make their way around Europe. So but yeah, look, I think all in all it was a very, very positive tour. All right, maybe not so much in the field, but there was a lot of.
We only saw one goal. I was just waiting. I had an old film camera with me, and I was taking some. I'll get the photos developed in like 2 months or something. I don't know how it works, but I was waiting for all these Villa fans to start celebrating, and we only had one goal scored by Cameron Archer. It was about 15 feet in front of me, so I had a good view of it, but
brilliant.
Could have had a few more goals.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think it was pretty successful off the field. The tour, given that Times Square was awash in claret and blue, and who would have thought that 3 or 4 years ago? And if I'm not mistaken, as well, Jack, you were there to see that, and you went down to Times Square and got some nice footage of that piece as well.
Yeah, I was. My videos have been a little bit delayed. I'm like finally catching up on everything. I finally just posted the unboxing video of this shirt today, but. Yeah, I was at Times Square at JD Sports, obviously, with the new JD deal is huge for the club. I've actually been loving seeing all the tweets of people picking up the kit in an airport or saying, I was never able to buy a Villa kit. Now it's here in London or here, wherever else I live in England. So yeah, JD has started kind of entering the market in the US, which I didn't really even know about. But they had a kit launch event. So I hosted a Q&A with Jacob Ramsey, Morgan Rogers, Ian Matson, and there were about 100 fans there. So everybody who came through was able to get photos, get some autographs, and pick up the kit if they hadn't done so already.
Yeah, incredible. So you had the left-sided brain trust, I suppose, for this year, in the clutches of your hands for that, however long that Q&A went on for you. And I'm really excited. And spoiler alert again, those three players are potentially one of my 5 reasons to be positive about Aston Villa this year. But I think that's a good segue, Jack. And I suppose before we move on, it's great to have guys like you over in the States that are really beating the drum and have the ability to drive the I suppose the interest levels and stuff, because you'll often find that people will gravitate towards an accent, a voice, somebody from their area who supports a team. It's really, really important to have that. A lot of people who watch this podcast will know that I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. There was me and one other Cleveland Browns fan here in Galway. He's from Maslin, Ohio, and he's probably about 60. So there was just us two, and now we've grown a community just because people were like, wait a minute, you're Irish, you support the Browns, why do you support the Browns? And then all of a sudden every Sunday they kept on coming in, and we've developed a community. And these were guys who never really would have watched NFL before, would have had a fleeting interest in it and decided to support the team, much like what happens in the US when they hear somebody's like, oh, I'm going to follow the Premier League, I'm going to support Aston Villa, yeah, I'll support them too, and then it becomes a habit, and it becomes like, I'm 11 years nearly now going in every Sunday to watch with a group of guys to watch the NFL with a group of guys now for my sins. So it's interesting, and fair play to you and well done on doing that, because it is growing in the States to a massive amount of to a massive audience as well, and it's because of your efforts on social media as well. So thanks so much.
Yeah, I mean, just try to use the tools available, and I think all the chair people, the chairman doing the best job they can to bring people into the pubs at the weekend. Yeah, Kevin, great to see you as well, man. All the people that are helping fans come out and providing a place for them to watch Aston Villa, learn about the club, and just go on that fan journey. I think it's really special.
Absolutely, I think so, especially when Villa are doing well. And
that's has there ever been a better time? Has there been a better time to be following Aston Villa?
As Chris Dolan said last night,
not since I've been following the club.
Yeah, as Chris Dolan says last night, we don't even know we're alive with Unai Emery at the moment, and what he's brought to the club. And so I suppose let's get cracking on our 5 reasons to be positive, I suppose, about Aston Villa this year. I personally could have gone into 15 or 20 reasons, but we don't have all year for that. But I'm going to let you start, Jack. And what are your 5 reasons, I suppose, or what 5 reasons do you have to be positive? Let's start with your number 1.
Oh, number 1. Okay, I was working in back
number 5. Number 5.
Yeah.
So we go from bottom up. So
no, this was almost cheating, I think, but just because he is number 5, for my number 5, I'm going to say that Tyrone Mings is back. But as you alluded to, Jacob Ramsey, Emi Buendia, all of these guys coming back from injury. Some of these guys have been at the club for a while, and I think with all the new signings, all the change, all the shifting, everything that's going on, that like Champions League formats changing, we need a little bit of stability and familiar faces, and seeing some of these guys return is, I guess I would say that's my number 5 reason to be positive this season.
I think a very underlooked reason as well. A lot of people will look towards Tyrone Mings and say, yeah, he's back, but is he really back? But I think the big piece, and one of the biggest reasons that we should be positive about Tyrone Mings, is the leadership quality he brings, the kind of the zen that he brings. You know, he doesn't get too high, he doesn't get too low. Seems to be a real good kind of leveling balance of a leader, and is very kind of mindful and thoughtful. Obviously, when you know, he's talked about the dark times he's had with regards to the injury he's had, and you know, that can strengthen somebody's resolve, specifically from a leadership point of view. Maybe he wasn't around the club as much as he wanted to be. He spoke an awful lot about his rehab being in the States last year, and now he's back with the club this year, and he's going to be able to affect the performances on the team. I think he's a real good asset to have. You know, he's been through a lot in his career, and adversity builds strength. So I think I think that's a huge positive, actually, that you've mentioned there as well. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, and Buendia, how about that assist to Cameron Archer in the Athletic Club game? That was a special ball. I want to see a lot of that from Buendia.
Yeah. So the injuries coming back are a real positive, and I suppose Jacob Ramsey as well. We'll morph this one into the injured players. I suppose the 3 injured players that would have been in our starting 11 that didn't really feature for us, and that being Buendia and Ramsey. A lot of people, I suppose, feel that we're light on the first 11, or we've not improved the first 11. But I think we actually have, because those guys are going to come back into the team that performed so well last year. And I know that's an old cliche, but they're guys that would have been on our starting 11 last year, and they just weren't. And now they're going to supplement the guys who, in some ways, replaced them. Obviously, Diaby's gone, but they supplement the guys that actually surpassed anything the club has done before, and that can only be a positive for me.
Couldn't agree more.
What's number 4 on your list, Jack?
Oh, number 4. I was watching the Talk Sport interview this morning from Bodymore Heath with Unai Emery, and I think for me, number 4 is trust Unai. You know, he's got a plan. Maybe we don't know everything that's going on in his plan, but it's worked so far, and we have no reason not to believe.
I didn't watch all of that interview. We spoke about this this previously. I watched all of Unai's, and I was really enthused by a lot of what he said. A lot of what he said was not news either. To any Villa fan that listens to anything, it's Premier League or bust again this year. Champions League is nice. A lot of people will take out of context and will get lost in translation, I suppose, from his the way he speaks English. But you know, people will think it was a job at Arsenal. I don't think it was. I think we'll take it because we took 6 points from Arsenal last year, and we'll take it that it's a given that it's 3 points. That's what he meant. But I thought it was very measured, and I think that TalkSport piece, Jack, and I don't know if you'd agree with me or not, I think that was a good piece of kind of internal marketing within the English market, because Villa invited them to Bodymore today, and Villa gave them more or less free access or full access to the club today. And I think it was a rip-roaring success, because it was all positive, and it was always going to be positive. But there was grown-ups doing the interviewing as well with Stelling and Andy Townsend, and I just thought it fitted together nicely. What do you think? Am I probably 2 rose tinted glasses on that one, or claret tinted glasses?
No, I think it's, you know, with the season just a couple of days away, it's everything is going to be very measured coming out of there. And, you know, I think there's been a little bit of turbulence, and this obviously, like losing Douglas Luiz, I think has been the hardest part. But, you know, Watkins and Dibu and Konsa, and to some extent even Duran coming back a little bit late, maybe is the result for some of those more lopsided scorelines on preseason. But as fans, we're just getting too invested in the preseason results, and you know, maybe it was the right time to have a TalkSport piece like that to get everyone, you know, feeling back on the positive side of the spectrum, as we should be. You know, like just because we're feeling a little down doesn't mean we should ignore all of these reasons to be positive for the season.
Absolutely, and I could be wrong in this, and people in the comments might tell me this, but it feels like Villa have, you know, when things weren't going well, they kind of became very insular and kind of protected themselves and garrisoned themselves from the media. And it, you know, when you're in a situation like this, when you're top of your game, the media, you should be courting the media, is what I'm trying to say, you know, and I think that's good. I'm so sorry. This is live. I'm so sorry. There's something happening outside my window.
I'm just going to use this time to look at all of the Paul McGrath memorabilia in the background.
And I'm back. No one died. Thankfully, I
quick.
couldn't. There was someone banging on my window, and I thought that they needed help. When I went outside, they were just. It was nothing. Sorry,
I was just trying to look at all the Paul McGrath memorabilia that was behind your
stuff.
chair. I don't usually see that beautiful photo.
Third reason to be positive, Jack.
This could have been 3. This could have been 2. This could have been 2-3, because we just saw that Emi Martinez changed his shirt number from number 1 to number 23. And I thought the reasoning was fun, and like he said, he's very superstitious, and he wears that number famously for Argentina, and now he'll be wearing it for Villa. So I think unless you've already gone and got a Martinez 1 printed on the back of your shirt, you should be super positive about the season due to that change.
Yeah, I've seen one person on Twitter on the 25th of July had Martinez 1, and the caption was, "I think I'm pretty safe with this one. I don't see him going anywhere." And then they just reposted it and said, "What's the chances that he changed his number?" I would imagine the club will probably announce that they'll do free letter changing or whatever like that for people, because we're 3 days out from the start of the season, and a lot of people would have purchased shirts with Martinez 1 on the back. So I know.
Yeah, I got a goalkeeper shirt last year, and I was thinking about putting a name set on it. I don't know. I still might put 1.
Well, I know in the NFL and I know in American sports, you have to buy out the stock of the because all the numbers come stitched on the back. You have to buy out your stock before you can change your number. I'm sure they're not going to do that to Emi. I'm sure they're not going to make him.
I mean, he's one person who's definitely in a position to be able to afford it. But
I have a fair idea. And plus, there can't be. Well, I was going to say there can't be that many of them, but I know that the goalkeeper shirt is tough enough to get, or it has been tough enough to get anyway since it's been released. So hopefully, it doesn't inconvenience too many people. For sure. But yeah, Emi Martinez, look, the world's number 23 is a huge positive, I think, for Aston Villa. The safety that he brings being in goal, and also once again leadership. He stepped up from leadership point of view last year when Tyrone Mings was out, and I would go so far as to say that attributing, like you could attribute a lot of some of the disjointed nature of our preseason games to not having him and his communication behind the likes of Pau or Ezri in the last game, or maybe Pau and Diego Carlos, or Pau and Lamar Bogard as well. So
and he just sets the tone, as much as Luis or someone in the center of the park was doing it as the metronome. He's the one putting his studs up on the ball, slowing the pace of play, calming everyone down, spraying it out to the left, moving the opposition forwards to the right, tiring them out. They don't want to keep pressing, and gives Villa opportunity. So yeah, I think with everyone back in there, I guess that's cheating if we're kind of putting the same people in there, but he's not coming back from injury, so I'm going to use that as number 3.
Absolutely. What's number 2 on your list?
Number 2 is there's still some time for new signings. I think everyone has been waiting on a couple pieces of news, really ever since Duran went on Instagram Live and threw up the hammers. But I don't know if that's what it is going to be, because speaking of shirt numbers, he's got the number 9 shirt. For the other potential rumblings about another central defender, and transfer deadline day is amazing. You never know what's going to show up.
I think that's true. I think there's that is a reason to be positive. We have, people can see it as a reason to be apprehensive too, but the positivity here is that the club are telling us, for once and forever, I suppose, really, the club are telling us, and they told us today, listen, we want to do more trading, and we will be doing more trading, and we will be looking right up until the last minute to trade here, whether it be players out or players in. And that's good. That's exciting, because a lot of people took different things out of those conversations with Monchi and Vidigani today, regards to, you could hear their frustration, their exasperation with PSR and so on. But the fat lady hasn't sung, if you can still use that phrase anymore. I'm not sure, but it hasn't on the transfer market, and I think we will be active. I think we will still be active. There's obviously players to go out, and I think there's still a couple of more surprises up the Brain Trust sleeve, which is really always exciting for sure.
Yeah, I was surprised how many players are still available on free transfers. We heard all of this about Mario Hermoso, and last I checked, he still doesn't have a new club, a new contract. Even David De Gea was out of work for a year. Not saying that that's the profile of player we'd sign, but Anthony Martial as well is out of contract again. I wouldn't want him at Villa necessarily. I want someone who has a little more to prove and is a little more up and coming on the younger side of things. But yeah, I was surprised at how many free agents are still floating around out there.
Yeah, and Jared Shaqiri is a free agent as of today as well. He's no longer going to be at Chicago Fire. So not once again, not advocating that they come to Aston Villa, but I think the Hermoso one is really interesting. And without straying into transfer talk here, I think the interesting one with regards to that is he literally seems to have been offered to everybody outside of teams here in the League of Ireland. He has been offered to everyone, and he will obviously sign, but he's injured at the moment. I think he's kind of gone, this is my choice. And he knows he's coming up in 30. He knows it's going to be his last chance to be fully in control of his destiny. So more power to him and waiting. And if he chooses Aston Villa, he chooses Aston Villa. But, I think probably the ship has sailed on him for Villa at the moment, and he will go to pastures further afield. But I would say keep your eye on that one for sure. You just never know. You never know for sure. And what is your number one reason to be positive, Jack?
Well, I think this could be first and foremost, but number one is that we're in the Champions League.
Yeah.
I don't know. It still hasn't hit me.
Me neither. It's been absolutely amazing. Like, if I'm my heart to hearts, I don't think I ever thought we were going to get in the Champions League.
No, it was like
the way football is going.
Only in FIFA career mode or something. It was just a fantasy. We got relegated. We were down so bad we could have been liquidated. So if you're questioning your positivity or thinking, oh, here we go again. It's typical Villa again. Whatever things that this negative talk that we have inside our brains. We were nearly liquidated from a tax bill, and now we're playing in the Champions League.
Yeah.
If that's not enough for you, I don't know what is going to be.
Yeah, exactly. And look, that's the biggest positive. That is the biggest positive for me this season as well, because got to enjoy it. We got to enjoy this, because it's the first time. We're in a good position. We've got good players. Teams will look at us and go, that ain't any cakewalk against Aston Villa. And rightly so, because we have one of the best managers in the world. And we have a very, very competitive set of players. And we're at Europe's top table for the first time ever. And that is an exceptional reason to be happy for sure. And definitely worthy of the number one spot, Jack. Absolutely.
Gotta be right now.
Yeah. Yours were very similar to mine. I was going to trot out my top five, but I had just one other little piece in there as well. And I had the reason. A positive piece for me was that we were getting and it kind of ties in with the piece that we spoke about there. We talked about we're getting the recognition of a club that people are, how will I put it, are comfortable with. The reason, what I mean by that is Adidas have come on board with us. Big one. It highlighted us. That whole Times Square thing. We spoke about it at the start. I think that's all massive positives. Almost growing up as a club from a financial point of view is a huge positive, because the elephant in the room, no matter what room you walk into Bodymore, there's probably a little portrait or a little etching on the skirting board in every room that just says PSR, just to remind everybody about that little elephant in the corner of the room. And we won't get everything right, and there will be stuff I would imagine that we'll be scratching our heads with, or the accounts may come out in a year's time and we'll be like, oh my God, we only made that off this deal and so on. But the club are trying, and they're making if they're not making a splash, they're trying to convince everybody that they're making a splash anyway. And all the press has been good, the positive. It could have been a better rollout, I suppose. Sorry, I won't say it could have been a better rollout. We would have preferred to have the shirt earlier, is what I would say. But when we got it, it became the highest grossing shirt that we've ever had. The murals around Villa Park are huge. Announcing ourselves on the stage was something we needed to do at Champions League. And I think the club have done a pretty good job of doing that. And I think that's a massive reason to be positive. More people are talking about Aston Villa now than have done since probably 1982. And that's good. You know, it mightn't be something that us fans kind of immediately clicks with us as fans. But from the guys in the suits and the guys with the spreadsheets would be massively enthused about that. And I think we should be as well in a roundabout way. So that shirt that you're wearing there is a huge reason to be positive. I love it. I think it looks beautiful. I think it's a nice understated shirt like Villa should always have, but it's got that brand recognition of those 3 stripes. And I think that's a massive reason to be positive this season as well.
Completely. Like you said, I couldn't agree more. We've been making our name on the pitch, and some of these teams, like you said, they know they can't just walk over Aston Villa anymore. And now off the pitch, even probably in the boardrooms, these other clubs have got to be, looking over their shoulder, thinking, okay, they knocked us out of Europe this year. We can't let them do that again. And if that's happening, that something's working over there.
Absolutely. And look, Villa won't go into any of these games scared with Unai Emery there. He's beaten top teams in Europe with a Sevilla team whereby people didn't know an awful lot of the names, and then those names went on to bigger clubs, the Dani Alves's of this world, the Ivan Rakitich's, all these players that he's had over the course of the years, that he's turned into great players, and he's gotten huge moves for. And
I think people might overlook that with some of the transfers we did this summer.
I think so for sure. Yeah, I think so for absolute sure. And once again, the guys coming back from injury will have had a year sitting in. Well, I think like Jacob Ramsey will have a year sitting in the corner. A young man who's had Steven Gerrard previously, and yes, he had Dean Smith previously as well. But he's now had a full year to sit and observe a professor like Emery and understand what he needs to do. And the guy is all the talent of the world. He's all the application. But in a way of all our players, if a younger player gets injured and has time to sit back and kind of learn how to be a pro under Emery, if that makes sense. And that doesn't apply to Ramsey from the point of view of learning how to be a pro. People associate that more with John Duran. But this guy wants to be in the England team. And he's actually sat in the corner and listened to a Rhodes Scholar at the game about how to do this. And, he's going to come back and hopefully the game is going to slow down for him even more, and things are going to click even more, and he starts to become a general on the field when he gets game time. And I think he will get tons of game time this year, and it's going to be really interesting because, as I mentioned, a positive for us is that left side and the amount of competition and the amount of good quality players we have in there, as opposed to last year when we had an injury in certain areas of the field. And yes, that's still the same case here with centre half, but if we had an injury in multiple areas of the field last year, we were scratching around looking to see who the replacement was going to be. So big positive.
And I mean, that's just how you have to be. You have to have that level of depth. Like, look at Real Madrid and why they keep winning the Champions League. Yeah, somebody can step in. So we're getting there. And
they won the Champions League last year with a glut of injuries as well.
You're just going to have injuries because now there's 50 or 60 games in a campaign.
Exactly. Yeah, and as you said, we play 8 games in Europe this year for guarantees. It's definitely going to be 8 games. And we played 10 games in Europe last year? Did we play 10 games? 8 games, 10 games? I'm trying to think.
No, it had to be
6 and 4.
It had to be 14 with the qualifying.
That's right? True.
It was 3 rounds. It was 3 round of 16 quarterfinals, semifinals.
That's right.
6 so plus 6 plus 2. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, it's
14. Yeah, I forgot about the qualifying piece as well. Yeah. So hopefully we get to play 14 games in Europe this year, because that would be nice if we got to play 14 games in Europe, because that would mean we've got really, really far. And then we will be coming on next year to do our 5 positives, and that would be, do you know what one positive is? We're Champions League champions this year, because that would be absolutely amazing.
Probably would only need one reason at that point, Neil.
Exactly, it would be the only reason. It would be the only reason. And if we win the Champions League, I'm going to get a replica made up and I'm going to put it here behind me. If we win any cup this year, I'm going to get a replica made and have it here behind me because, you know, as I say, with Aston Villa, silverware is cool, and we don't win enough of it. Unfortunately, lots of clubs don't win enough silverware. It seems to be hoarded by a few clubs. So once again, just like getting into the Champions League should be cherished, we should put our arms around it. If we win any silverware this year, we should definitely put our arms around it. And I think I'll be commissioning a replica of a cup if we win it this year, and we'll see what way it goes.
Yeah, you know, I might have to join you as well.
Excellent. Jack, I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. You were really good. You came on here at very short notice. Here, I only got in contact with you like about a day ago. So thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. I didn't have a chance to pop up I did have a chance. We had technical difficulties beforehand. I couldn't put up the overlay that shows everybody's social media handles. So Jack, do you want to let everybody know where they can find you? And which I always find patronizing because whenever I get people on here, they always have way bigger followings than I do. But it seems like what all the YouTubers say, so I'm going to say it myself here.
Yeah, well that's okay. Thank you so much for having me on, Neil. It was a pleasure. I'm always happy to talk about Villa. And yeah, you can find my content. I actually just published it today. We've got an unboxing of this 24-25 home kit on YouTube. My goal for this year is to do more feature-length YouTube content. So got a few more things coming out related to Villa because I realize I haven't done that much long-form Villa content. So really excited about that. Got some stuff still from the summer tour. But as always, you can follow me on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter at Jack Grimse. And yeah, just hope to see you there talking about Villa.
Excellent. Yeah, and keep up the great work that you're doing as well, Jack. So that's going to do it for us today. Tomorrow I'm going to be back and I'm going to have the wonderful Frankie Maguire from All Villa No Filler on the podcast tomorrow to preview West Ham. Wait a minute, did I tell Frankie? Yes, I did, and he did agree to it. There was me having a senior moment going, did I ask Frankie or did I just...
He's been doing the rounds too. I saw him on the Claret and Blue season preview.
Yeah, Frankie's coming on tomorrow to talk to us about West Ham, and we will probably get into talk about his Limerick ancestry as well, considering I'm a proud Limerick man. So join us for that tomorrow, and then the season starts then in earnest afterwards, and I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be more excited for it. So once again, thank you very much to Jack Grimse, and thank you much to everybody who's watching at home. And if you haven't subscribed, please hit the thumbs up and please subscribe. And if you're watching us on X or Twitter, please pop over to YouTube and just hit the subscribe there. Don't gotta hang around, just subscribe so the algorithm hits us into overdrive. But thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.